DZOFilm recently sent me the 21 and 40mm Vespid primes. They're the latest lenses in the set. So what do I think about them after using them? Well, let's find out. So I've been using the Vespids for nearly a year now and I really love them. If you want to see a more in-depth review of them, click somewhere here and you can see my 6-month review. But if you don't know much about them, in short, they're a set of very affordable cine primes that come in EF or PL mounts. They're nice and sharp, their look is very characterful. I guess I would say that they veer more towards the sort of vintage end of the spectrum of lenses. They offer a very fantastic value for money, and I think they look beautiful, especially when you pair them with modern digital sensors. Right off the bat, I can tell you that these two new releases, the 21 and 40mm, are very comparable and fit very well alongside the other lenses in the set. I didn't notice any massive color shifts or differences in sharpness or anything like that. But because of that, I don't really want to spend too much time in this video, shooting charts or stuff like that, because it's not really what I do. And to be honest, I'm sure there's lots of other people out there that can do that. What I am going to do is look a little bit more closely at using a 21mm and a 40mm focal length. Whether you're looking to invest in some of these lenses for the first time, are these the two lenses that you should consider picking up first? Or for someone more like me who's already invested in a number of these lenses, where does the 21mm and the 40mm sit in? Is it really worth stumping up for these two extra lenses? If you've already got a 35mm and a 50mm, do you really need the 40mm? So to sort of figure this out, I set myself a little project to shoot a short documentary using just the 21 and 40mm lenses, and I shot this on my RED Komodo. And to do this, I teamed up with a friend of mine who works on a farm in London, and I spent 2 afternoons there filming with her and a couple of their volunteers. When I shot this project, I basically had to pack very light because I was just working on my own, so it was kind of really nice just to limit myself to these two lenses. But I also, I shot this on my Komodo and I just packed it down to a small backpack with a monitor, batteries and some basic audio equipment, as well as my easy rig and a tripod. What I found was that these two lenses were great together, shooting something like this in terms of like a little observational documentary. Covered everything I needed as a solo operator, and everything from the wide to the close-ups. So yeah, the 21 was great for sort of establishing shots and shooting wider, but it was also really useful as a sort of general follow lens if I wanted to be a bit looser following action. And then the 40mm was obviously great for when I wanted to get a bit more up close and personal in terms of going in, getting details and mid shots and close-ups. Especially on the Super 35 sensor, a 50mm can end up being quite tight sometimes, so having a bit of extra space for the 40mm was really nice. As a sort of general all-purpose lens, 40mm was a really lovely focal length to shoot documentary stuff, allowing you to sort of hang back and get some nice sort of wide or mid shots, and then sort of get up close and personal with your subjects, whether you're focusing on action or hands or stuff going on. It was just a very versatile lens. Maybe cheated a little bit because I did bring the 90mm macro on the second day just to get a few details, but apart from that, I kind of found that these two lenses could cover 90% of what I would need to capture for this sort of film. And that includes interviews too. In this case, I shot all the interviews on the 40mm, but I think if you had a larger setup with 2 cameras, then obviously, you could use the 21mm as the wide lens. If you were doing handheld work and following action, again on 2 cameras with 2 operators, I think the 40 and the 21mm would provide really great coverage as well. And considering I was working on my own with a very limited setup, I was surprised about how much fun I had and how easy it was to work between these two focal lengths. They really made me think about my framing, and it was all about positioning myself and making sure that I moved my body and my camera in order to get the images I needed. And in a sense, those limitations were a lot more liberating because it kind of simplified my workflow on the day because I could only shoot those 2 focal lengths, right? So it just meant either moving my body or changing my lenses. In a sense, working in that way it freed me up a lot and allowed me to have a lot more fun. I wasn't constantly sort of just scanning and moving a zoom lens or swapping between lots of different focal lengths and sort of having to make all those tiny decisions all the time. Another thing to point out here is for this sort of film, the look and the character of these lenses I just really loved. You know, we were shooting outside on a sunny day. There were lots of greens and reds and yellows and blues and lots of sort of organic, natural colors. And I think the characteristic of these lenses really played into that as well. You know, I've shot a lot with the Sigma 18-35 lens. It's a very controlled, modern looking lens, and there's something that's just a bit like, it's just not very fun, if that's the right word. It's just a bit like, it does everything very well, but it doesn't really have any character to it. With these and shooting this kind of stuff, I really loved what the Vespids did. I know we're getting into quite subtle nuances here in terms of differences between lenses, but I've always enjoyed shooting on vintage glass and always enjoyed pushing a sort of imperfect image in what I do in post as well. In terms of shooting this, I was able to really push that look. I think that's why I really love the Vespids in documentary work and the sort of stuff I shoot with people and artists. And you know, if I was shooting corporate and commercial work, which I have done with the Vespids, maybe you'd want that more controlled look of a different type of lens. Me personally, I'm very happy with the Vespids, and I think shooting this kind of short piece with these lenses was loads of fun, and I was really happy with the results. So to sum things up, I really love these 2 lenses. Their look is consistent with the other lenses in the set, and despite not being used to these 2 focal lengths, they seem to be a great pairing for this sort of handheld documentary shooting. I think if you were looking to start investing in a set of Vespids and you shot similar work, then these could be a great pair to look at. I think the 40mm is the most versatile, so I'd opt for that first, and then look at the 21mm. If you already own a set of Vespids, then it's a slightly trickier question and will largely boil down to what you shoot. I'm personally really tempted to pick up the 40mm as I'd love to shoot more interviews at this focal length. When it comes to the 21mm, I'm still a little bit unsure whether I'll pick that up in the near future, because I'm also interested in the 16mm Vespid, which I don't own, and I think potentially that could be a little bit more useful considering I already own a 25mm. Either way, these 2 lenses are a cracking addition to an already impressive lineup of Vespid lenses. You can buy them and be confident that you'll be getting the same image quality, the same level of sharpness, and the same overall build quality as the existing lenses. Please check out the short film if you haven't, and give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and consider subscribing to my channel. But until next time, see ya!